And the ones who remember will imagine the whisper. Let me tell you a secret. After the light, there was a falling inward, an old world's final breath, erupting in a flash of farewell. That flash is what we now call the Big Bang. And it was not the beginning at all. This is the poetic expression of a daring vision held by some of today's boldest scientists, but remarkably, it also echoes the teachings of sages long past. Both suggest the same thing. At the core of being is not just matter or energy, but a dance between two sides of reality, the seen and the unseen, the world of baryonic matter and the world of consciousness. And the Big Bang, that can be the moment they swap places. Though it sounds fantastical, this isn't fantasy. Some aspects of it is a real scientific possibility explored by groundbreaking physicists like Roger Penrose and Juan Maldacena, and remarkably echoed by world mystics who've been speaking about a hidden dimension of reality for centuries.
I was worrying about inflation and certain other models, which I didn't believe in. As the time went on, I produced my own crazy scheme, which I've just been describing, to conformal cyclic cosmology. And I thought, well, my scheme also is fantastical, in a sense. But we really need fantastical ideas, because the universe is fantastical. I mean, even quantum mechanics, you have strange things. You need a fantastical theory to explain the odd things that we see. It's just got to be the right fantasy. So I take a little bit of a softer line with regard to fantasy and say, okay, fantasy in itself isn't such a bad thing. You actually need it. It's just got to be the right fantasy.
Penrose calls his theory conformal cyclic cosmology. He proposes that what we call the universe is actually one phase in a much larger rhythm, a cosmic eon. In this model, the universe expands, cools, and dissolves into radiation. At that far future moment, all mass vanishes, leaving only light. And here's the strange part. When only radiation remains, space and time lose meaning. Without clocks or rulers, without matter to measure size, the universe becomes scaleless, indistinguishable from the fiery beginning of a new Big Bang.
And eventually, all the matter in the universe will disappear apart from radiation. But now, instead of stretching out, which is what I did for the Big Bang before, I'm squashing it down. So I'm saying that in the remote future, there's nothing left which has any mass. If that's the case, somehow the universe doesn't know how to keep time in the remote future. It doesn't know how big it is, you see. So the universe forgets how big it is, in a sense. And it might as well be a small new universe. So the picture, okay, it's crazy.
Crazy, yes, but compelling. Penrose believes the end of one universe is the beginning of the next, and this cycle repeats forever. The physical laws within each cycle, or aeon, became slightly different from the previous. In other words, after cosmic reset, the newborn universe could have its own constants, its own rules, its own version of life. How could we ever know if there was a universe before this one? Is that even possible? Roger Penrose believes it is.
Now, of course, this needs to be filled out with, with some honest mathematics, and it also needs to be related to observation. And the thing is, you might think it's hopeless. How would you ever know whether there was a previous universe, you see? But it's not so hopeless. The first point is that in this model, the exponential expansion took place in the very remote future. And that is quite consistent with our present-day view. The universe will expand exponentially. And so you will get same features that you get with inflation, but without inflation. And so then the idea is that that exponentially expanding universe forgets how big it is, and and it becomes the Big Bang of the next scale.
Scientists now find the proof of previous universes in the night sky. Penrose and other researchers identified strange hotspots in the cosmic microwave background, the leftover glow of the Big Bang published in this paper. He calls them Hawking points. They could be the final evaporation flashes of supermassive black holes from a previous universe. In Penrose's theory, when a universe reaches the end of its life, all the matter fades away, leaving only light and the strange rules of the quantum world. And here's where it gets interesting. If this ghostly quantum fabric survives into the next eon, the next cycle of the universe, could something still carry over? Maybe not bodies or stars, but what about patterns of consciousness? Could the shape of a thought, a memory, a mind leave a trace? Like a flame passed from one candle to the next. It sounds like science fiction, but in Penrose's cyclical cosmology, it's a serious question. What if something or someone makes it through? Penrose invites us to imagine something wild. Civilizations so ancient and advanced, they didn't just witness the end of their universe. They were ready for it. What if they understood the cosmic cycle and found a way to send messages through it? Messages meant for themselves, reborn in the next eon, in a future universe. Long before modern science glimpsed the cycle of universes, Earth's mystics spoke of a hidden architecture. In Islamic mysticism, this duality is known as the Zahir, the visible and apparent, and the Batin, the hidden and eternal. What's hidden isn't less real than what we see. In fact, according to mystics, it might be more real. They believed that what we call reality, our everyday world of objects and appearances, is actually just the outer shell. The real action, it's happening underneath. The mind of the universe, the thing that gives life and meaning to it all, isn't out in the open. It's buried, hidden from ordinary perception just beyond common sense. What we see might just be the backside of reality. This opposition between apparent and hidden can be applied to the entire universe. But it's not a divide. It's a relationship. Influential scholar of Islamic studies, Professor Henry Corbin, wrote that death in the physical world becomes a rebirth to the other side of reality and takes place by a kind of inversion. Mystics often describe the moment of leaving this world not as disappearance but as something stranger. It is a process of turning inside out. And in that moment, the one started to realize he had always been a stranger here, and now, finally, he is home. Corbin explains it like this: to depart from this world is to leave the external or natural appearances that enclose the hidden realities. But an odd thing happens. Once this transition is accomplished, it turns out that henceforth this reality, previously internal and hidden, is revealed to be enveloping, surrounding, containing what was first of all external and visible, since by means of interiorization, one has departed from that external reality. End of quote. From that moment on, it's not matter that holds consciousness, but consciousness that holds matter. In Islamic mysticism, when the physical body dies, consciousness doesn't vanish. It returns to a deeper dimension. Not yet the final destination, but the first stop in the journey beyond. A stop in a world that has been left to the poets and musicians, a place where visions happen, where meanings unfold. Philosopher Henry Corbin called it the imaginal world. Not imaginary, like a fantasy, but a real in-between realm between mind and matter, where the forms of consciousness take shape. In the mystic view of death as a turning inside out, here's how the passage works. The physical world collapses inward. Consciousness moves through the imaginal world, and if the soul is awake, it keeps going. This imaginal world is the first true reality the soul encounters after letting go of the illusion of the purely material. It's where the person meets its guiding figures, its double, or what Carl Jung might call the archetype of you. It's a world where consciousness takes form. Not dense matter like ours, but a finer medium. Real, extended, and subtly radiant. Luminous in presence, yet hidden from ordinary perception. In this space, you may encounter your twin, your double, your heavenly archetype. The one that appears in visionary states and can be seen or dialogued with through shamanic journeying or the use of special psychedelic substances or through deep holotropic breathwork that opens inner perception. Corbin believed this realm has its own laws, its own logic, and that we are available to access it not with the senses or reason, but through something just as powerful, active imagination. Not daydreaming, but a disciplined way of seeing. This is a cognitive power, just as real as thought or sensation. And like them, it must be trained. Through it, we perceive what Corbin called imaginative consciousness, where images are not decoration, but revelation. In this world, your consciousness operates in a new body, not of flesh, but of everything it has become. Your ardent desires, your emotions, your memories, your longings, habits, knowledge and wishes, aspirations, and even nostalgias, they shape this form. It may be a body of dazzling light or of darkened light. And if the journey continues, consciousness moves beyond even this, into a world without form, the realm of pure intellect, of divine archetypes, of living patterns, and beings made of pure light. This, Corbin said, is the true other side of reality, the highest level of being. As he wrote, "For to leave this world, it does not suffice to die. One can die and remain in it forever. One must be living to leave it. Or rather, to be living is just this." Now, to make any sense of the imaginal world and active imagination, to place them in their proper context, an entire cosmology is required. And the first building blocks were already laid by.
Yeah, I'm Juan Maldacena. I'm the Carl Feinberg professor here at the Institute for Advanced Study. My field of research is in trying to understand the fundamental laws of nature, trying to develop theories that connect space-time and quantum mechanics. And the main objective is to understand the beginning of the Big Bang.
Physicist Juan Maldacena, in his groundbreaking paper, proposed something extraordinary, that our universe might be nested inside a higher structure defined not by empty space, but by two eternal black holes. They form the very framework of space-time itself, and we exist in the space between. Maldacena proposed that eternal black holes are linked through quantum entanglement, forming a bridge between two separate regions of space. Although nothing can pass through this bridge, it still knits together the fabric of space-time itself. Through this strange connection and eternal interaction emerges everything: space, time, particles, even the laws of physics themselves. To visualize these exotic connections, Maldacena explored the hidden geometry of the universe, surfaces where twists, reflections, and hidden symmetries shape entire worlds.
So this geometry looks like two black holes joined by that are sharing a single interior. So these are two black holes that could be living very far away and are sharing a single interior. But if you look at the original geometry that Schwarzschild found, it has this particular shape. and we can interpret it as a kind of wormhole.
This metric is one of the earliest and most elegant. Its full geometry appears as two black hole funnels joined at their throats. In an interesting synchronicity with scholars working in the West during the early 60s, Soviet cosmologist Igor Novikov offered a striking interpretation. These funnels could be seen as eternal holes, one black, one white. Into the black, matter and energy vanish. From the white, they re-emerge elsewhere. In the early 2000s, Juan Maldacena expanded this idea. He connected the edges of the two funnels, the horizons of the eternal holes, into a single shared boundary. The result? A universe shaped not like a simple funnel, but like a swirling ring, a cosmic torus. One way to visualize Maldacena's strange geometry is to imagine two Mobius strips twisted and interlocked into a single endless surface. When split into two mirrored halves, this shape reveals something familiar, the symbol for infinity. It feels like more than coincidence, a quiet suggestion that space and maybe even time aren't truly endless, but curved and closed. Something scientists have long sensed not just through theory, but at a deeper, almost subconscious level. In this configuration, space folds back onto itself, a process known as self-intersection, allowing a four-dimensional universe to be represented within the limits of our three-dimensional perception, like a reflection in a two-sided mirror.
Another analogy people make sometimes is the idea of a hologram. A hologram is a two-dimensional photographic plate that when you illuminate it with light, you see a three-dimensional picture. So the idea is that you can have the dynamics of these particles on the boundary of space-time so far away, can have an alternative description as objects moving in the interior, subject to the force of gravity.
Maldacena's vision leads us to a similar place as Penrose's. Instead of a singular Big Bang as the beginning of all things, we see a universe that renews itself endlessly through its geometry, transformation, and flow. As Maldacena wrote at the end of his paper, interpreted as a cosmology, the universe gets to start over and over again, and the initial conditions change slightly every time. In Maldacena's model, matter collapses into a black throat and re-emerges from a white one transformed, a crossing point, a one-way door into a hidden reality.
There is a surface that we call the horizon, which is a surface basically dividing the outside and the inside. It's an imaginary surface, it's not a real surface. It's kind of point of no return. So if you cross the horizon in the interior, you cannot send any signal to the outside. So, you cannot even escape. You will be doomed to fall into the singularity. But you don't feel anything when you cross the horizon. So it's a perfectly reasonable surface.
And once the boundary is crossed, nothing remains the same. There are other things we've learned, like the fact that a star can collapse into a black hole. But maybe this cosmic ballet isn't just played out among the stars. Maybe death and birth are like crossing the event horizon of your personal universe. To those outside, you vanish. But beyond the threshold, a new world opens. Mystics have always described death in similar terms. From this side, it looks like an ending. From the other, it's a transformation. As the Sufi mystic Rumi wrote, that's how you came here, like a star without a name. As life evolved, something extraordinary happened. Not just the shaping of new organic bodies, not just the unfolding of new forms, but the birth of inner worlds, hidden microcosms, each utterly unique. Even as the physical bodies stayed similar, the consciousness inside began to diverge, branching into countless unseen landscapes. This emergence hints at something deeper. Evolution wasn't just about building bodies. It was about weaving inner complexity. It's like a hidden gravity was at work, pulling consciousness inward towards something unseen. Just as mass bends space, complexity might bend reality itself. And when a conscious pattern became complex enough, collapse happened. Not destruction, but folding inward. Just as a star folds into a black hole, a soul folds into itself, tearing through the surface of ordinary reality and opening a doorway into the inner universe of consciousness. This strange cosmology mirrors the ancient mystic idea that the world itself can turn inside out. From the outside, this inner world becomes unreachable, sealed off, a mystery. Information no longer passes through unchanged. It bends and transforms. The human being becomes something new, an anomaly of nature standing at the thin boundary between two worlds. Not purely material, not purely spiritual, but a living fusion of both. Two halves of reality forever linked through us. And it's here that the hidden double, the archetype of you, finally steps forward into the light. In quantum physics, there's a mind-bending idea known as ER equals EPR. It suggests that when two particles are entangled, acting as one, even across vast distances, they might actually be connected by an invisible wormhole, a hidden bridge between them.
And we think that in some circumstances, if you take two separate systems and you entangle them very strongly, so you could also generate some kind of geometric connection between them, in some cases. So in some sense, through the entanglement is connected to the connectivity of space-time.
So what if every particle in your body is just such a bridge? What if you are entangled with an unseen version of yourself? A twin, a double, an archetype of you, coexisting in the hidden layers of reality. In Islamic mysticism, this being is called the Qareen, your spiritual companion. Henry Corbin called it the angel of your being. Across cultures, it's known by many names. The muse, the daemon, the totem, and in Jung's work, the archetype of the self, the deep inner pattern you're meant to grow into. What's fascinating is that modern physics might be rediscovering this ancient insight. In one of his papers, famous physicist Yakir Aharonov, best known for the Aharonov-Bohm effect, posed a striking question. Is it possible to reformulate physics to incorporate the idea of a new universe for each instant? In the process of finding an answer, his team found something strange. Quote, "Many more interesting situations are possible. An amusing one is illustrated in this figure. Here, every moment of time is fully correlated with the second next. In effect, this particle has a double life. As long as we do not take any action to connect them, such as a two-time measurement involving an odd and an even moment, the two lives of this particle do not interact with each other. It is interesting to speculate if such things exist in nature and what their meaning would be. Could this be a doorway into the physics of your unseen self? A second hidden mind, quietly operating beneath awareness, guided by the strange logic of the quantum part of reality. This New Scientist issue hints at it in its title and its key article, Your Quantum Brain, a bit in two minds. To illustrate this, they showed a face made of two overlapping shapes with a shared space where the eyes meet, forming a symbol that mystics have recognized for centuries. In Islamic mysticism, this meeting place is called the Barzakh, the thin isthmus where the world of matter and the world of consciousness intertwine. In modern science, it echoes the nested sets of Clifford-Torrey and the Hop vibration, geometries that hint at how consciousness and matter are intricately woven together. Quantum physics shows us this too. two entangled particles, no matter how far apart, act as if they're one. And at a deeper level they might be, just appearing separate in our world. This strange unity may also apply to the human mind. Under hypnosis, people speak in other voices, other languages, other lifetimes. It's as if more than one person lives inside. What if that's not an illusion? What if consciousness, like quantum particles, exists in superposition? Many versions of you all at once. Some loud, some quiet, all shaping who you are. From the outside, the mind looks like it's trapped inside the skull. But what if that's just one perspective? What if, from the other side of reality, consciousness is not closed, but turned inside out? Not a container, but a field, open and extended, where other forms of intelligence can pass through or connect freely. And if we use a metaphor from the ancients, on the other side, your consciousness is like a tree. Its branches visited by birds of many kinds, including your own. Like the Ba in ancient Egyptian thought, the bird soul that carried the essence of the self traveling between worlds. In this view, the mind on our side is not an isolated mind, but a shared field across everything living on this planet. It can be a meeting place and a living bridge between Aeons. So what do we see? A universe that cycles, a soul that flips, a cosmos that turns itself inside out again and again. From Penrose's Cyclic Cosmology to Maldacena's dance of the eternal black holes to Arabic mysticism, they all point to the same question. What if reality has two sides and every Big Bang marks the moment this cosmic being turns, folding one side into the other? But here's one more strange coincidence worth mentioning. It turns out that something similar to the Big Bang happens in the body at the moment of death and the moment life begins. It's called the Deathflash, a sudden burst of light emitted by a dying organism. And it's not just a myth. Biophotonics researcher Professor Janusz Slawinski studied this in detail. He confirmed that all living organisms emit faint biophotons, ultra-weak light. But in the final moments of life, that emission spikes to 10 to 10,000 times its normal intensity. The vision of intense light reported in near-death experiences, he wrote, may be related to this death flash. The electromagnetic field containing energy, internal structure, and information may permit the continuation of consciousness beyond death. End of quote. Scientists have also captured the opposite, a flash of life, at the moment of conception. When a sperm meets an egg, a tiny burst of light occurs. Some eggs even shine brighter than others, a sign of their potential to become healthy life. So, we begin and end with light. Could these biological flashes be microcosmic versions of the Big Bang, markers of the consciousness's passage between worlds? A miniature turning inside out at the boundary between matter and consciousness. And maybe the Death Flash and Life Flash are nature's way of showing us that every soul, every living being, is a tiny universe. And a Big Bang, a gateway between two sides of existence. The mystics saw this too. But they didn't speak in equations. They drew a symbol, the Ouroboros, a serpent swallowing its own tail. They could well use an abstract shape arranged in the loop, but instead they choose a living creature in cycle. A being that feeds itself, dies into itself, and is reborn from within. It wasn't just a symbol of time. It was a clue that the universe itself might be alive, turning inside out again and again. In Sufi cosmology, the universe exists for a purpose to know itself, to uncover what's hidden, what they call the batin, And each time the outer layer, the Zahir, reaches its limit, a new consciousness is born. A new world begins. Maybe this is what the turning inside out truly means. Not destruction, but awakening. The moment we recognize our place right at the edge of two infinite worlds. And when the universe flips again, maybe next time we will be the ones who remember